Book talk. The book chat.
Oh, hi.
Didn't see you there.
Greetings and salutations. Oh, hi.
Didn't see you there.
Oh my god, what the frick? Hi.
Oh, didn't see you there.
Welcome to Books with Brenna and Bella.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. So for those of you who don't know us too well, Brenna and I love reading. So we decided we wanted to come up with a series that we're gonna call
Books with Brenna and Bella.
So, we're gonna try and put out a video like this once a month. And we're just gonna talk about just books that we like and books that we recommend. Just for those of you who also enjoy reading.
So for our first video in the series, we're going to be talking about our favorite author, Jay McLean.
So, obviously we love Jay, but this video is not sponsored. We just love her and we just want to talk about her. So, but this video is not sponsored in any way. So, but Jay, if you want to sponsor us, you know where we are. So Brenna is actually the one who introduced me to Jay McLean books, and I fell in love, like, from the first book that I read of hers, and out of all of her books, there's not one that I dislike. Like, all of her books are just so good and have just such good stories that you just get so into, and it's like it's real. Like, yeah, you just feel for what's happening.
Yeah, and you get so attached to the characters. Like, I have read so many books, and Bella has too, and like, there has been no book that has ever compared to this. Like,
no.
I have never read a book, anything, like any of these books. Bella and I are very, like, indecisive people, so it's so hard to choose, like, out of all of these books, which one is our favorite.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think for both of us, like, the one that we have chosen as our favorite is just something that has, like, personally stuck out to us, like, somewhere in the book, like, something about it has just kind of, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it just, like, I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah,
but her books just, like, they just pull you in, and I mean, I can say for myself, I don't know about you, but once you start, like, when I start reading one of her books, you cannot
You
stop.
cannot. You think about it all day long. You think about the next time you're going to read, and, like, you don't ever want the book to end, but, like, you have to finish it, because you just can't, like, from the first sentence of the very first book that I read of hers, I was, like, hooked. I could not stop. I was like, Bella, you have to read these. And then Bella started, and she was like, oh my god.
Just, the way she writes is just really good.
It's very unique.
Yeah.
So
we're just going to go through her books and just kind of talk a little bit about like
each
series and what each book is kind of about. And, you know, I mean, we enjoy all of them, but I can say, like, which ones I enjoy the most and which ones Brenna enjoys the most. So the first series that we're going to talk about is the More Than series. And this is one of my favorites.
Me too.
This was the first book, like the first series that me and Brenna read of Jay's. So the first book in the series is More Than This.
So each book in the series has their own, like, specific couple that they focus on, but this book in particular is Jake and Michaela, and this is where the story starts, and it includes their entire friend group, but then every other book in the series stems off of, like, another couple from the friend group.
Yep. So the second book in the series is More Than Her.
And that is Logan and Amanda's story, which also goes into More Than Him. It's a two-part series for their story.
And then the next book in that series is More Than Forever.
Yes, and this is Lucy and Cameron. And I have to say, this, like, it's so hard because I love all of them, but I feel like I relate to Lucy, like, a lot, and so does Bella. Like, I feel like we're so similar
There's
to her.
There's just, like, a special place in my heart
for Lucy and Cameron. Yeah, that one is definitely one of my favorite books out of the whole series, out of all of her books. Like,
yeah, I definitely agree.
It.
Yep. And then, so the last book in that series is More Than Enough.
And this is about Dylan and Riley and their story. So that one's a bit bigger than the rest of them, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the More Than series. I would definitely recommend, if you haven't read any Jay McLean books, start with this series. It's definitely one of our favorites, and you just get hooked.
I think it's important to start at, like, the very first book that she ever wrote. I don't know why. I just think that, like, you should just go in the order, because some of these books do tie together, and then some of them don't. But, like, I also think if you start with her very first book, it's easier to understand, like, the way she writes and why she writes the way she writes.
Definitely.
If that makes sense. Like, you'll find patterns when you start in the beginning. If you start, like, at one of the other series, I just feel like it's strange. So that brings us into the next series, which is the Preston Brothers novels. This series stems off of the More Than Forever book, which is Lucy and Cameron's story. But Lucy has 5 brothers, so Jay started a series to write about all of the brothers. And so the first book of the series is Lucas. And so this is Lucas's story. I mean, I can't really, like, say much about it, but Lucas is the oldest brother of the family, so it just kind of tells, like, from his childhood up until now how old he is and everything. This was one of my favorite books too, and I definitely think this is going to be one of my favorite series. Like, I'm gonna say that about everything, but there's just something about the way she writes about the boys. Like, I think it's, I don't know, like, being, like, a girl, you kind of just think, like, how a girl thinks, but I think she does, like, really well at portraying how a boy thinks and, like, the things that, like, he goes through. Like, not that we would know that, but she's just very good at, like, getting inside of their heads and kind of, like, explaining how they don't really, like, show things, but, like, they they feel and, like, think things very deeply, and she just kind of goes through all of that. So,
and what I really enjoy about, like, all of these books is they're all, especially, like, the Preston Brothers series and then the More Than series, they're all similar, but they're unique in their own ways. So they all tie into each other, but they're just so different. Like, each book is just unique in its own way.
I mean, like, her thought process on the characters is just insane. Like, it blows my mind how much she gets into, like, these people, like, the stories she comes up with, and it's like, there are 5 of the brothers, and then there's Lucy, and none of these books have been similar, like, in the way that their stories are the same, even though they come from the same family.
Right.
So I just think it's, like, crazy how they all kind of dealt with things that happened in their childhood, like, so much differently. It's just, I don't know, I feel like I have such, like, a special place for these boys. Like, they're just, like, I feel like they're real. And, like, when I was reading the books, like, I could feel for them. And, like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just, like, fell in love with them.
Yeah, I did too. So, the next book in that series is Logan. So this talks about Logan's story. He's the second brother.
The second oldest
brother in the family. So it just talks about him, and I think this one is probably my favorite out of the 2. I have a special place for
I love Logan.
Logan in my heart.
He's like he's the bad boy, isn't he? Yeah, he's the bad boy.
But he's not.
But he's not, no.
And you just find out, like, you know, you really get into his head, and you can see, you know, like, where he's coming from and why he does the things that he does.
Yeah.
So that definitely...
I love him.
Yes. So, definitely would recommend reading these books.
But I would recommend reading the More Than series first.
Yes.
Because you have to read Lucy and Cameron's story, because you read about Lucy and Cameron, like, in these books. Like, they're all still present in their stories, so you definitely should read those before these.
Definitely. So, that's all she has as of right now in the Preston Brothers novel. I think she's coming out with more books.
Yeah, she's coming out with more.
So the next books that we're going to talk about of Jay McLean's are Combative and Redemptive. So these 2 books go together. And these are, I mean, all of them are my favorites, but
yeah, me too.
These 2 are just really special. My favorite out of them is Redemptive. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about this book, but I just love it. Like, I did not want it to end, and I just couldn't stop reading it as soon as I started it.
I loved the second one also, but I think my favorite was the first one out of the 2, as of right now.
So, these books are a little bit different than most of her books. They kind of just are, they're a little bit more...
They're darker.
Yes.
Very dark.
Yes, but amazing at the same time.
Yeah, they're... The concept that she came up with is just crazy, but it's, like, so good. I don't know. They're so different from anything I've ever read. Like, not even just in her series, just, like, anything.
Yeah.
So the next 3 books we're going to talk about are Where the Road Takes Me and Kick Push and Coast. And these 2 go together more than this one does. Like, they're all in the same series, but these are about the same people, and this one's a little bit different. So I'll start with Where the Road Takes Me, and this is my favorite book out of, like, all of her books. I don't know why, there's just, like, something about this book. Like, I'm so obsessed with it. Bella knows. I just, like, I don't know. I just love the way she wrote it, and I don't know. I love their stories, and there's, like, this one concept in the book that, like, I'm obsessed with. So it has, like, a very special place in my heart. So I really love this one, and this is about Chloe and Blake, and, it's just about their, like, just their story, just like all of the other books. But Blake has a friend named Josh, and that is where Kick, Push, and Coast come from. And these two books are about Josh and, like, his life and his story, because they talk a little bit about his story with Blake and everything because they're best friends. Mm-hmm. But Josh has, like, a more complicated story than what they really talked about. So the Kick, Push, and Coast books come after this one. So definitely read this one first, because it wouldn't really make sense to read the other ones first. I mean, I guess you could, but they still talk about Blake and Chloe in them. And, like, in order to understand certain parts, you have to read this book. Yeah. So, I don't know. This book's just, like, about their journey in life. Like, not even just, like, them separate, like, together. It's, like, about their lives separately, too. And I think that's, like, something that when she wrote all of the books, she didn't just write about their lives together. Like, they each have separate lives still.
Right.
And she just kind of, like, talks about both of them.
So, these books talk about Josh and just about his story and what happens in his life and things that he goes through, and then his story with Becca and what they go through together. Yeah. So I definitely recommend these books. So good.
They're so good. I don't know, for some reason, those books, I dragged them on. Mm-hmm. Like, I would read just a little bit every day, because, like, not that I, like, couldn't read more. It was just I couldn't, like, I never wanted it to end. I love Josh so much. Like, I just love him. Mm-hmm. And Becca and, like, just the whole thing.
Yep. It's like, you know, we're going to say this whole time that we love all of these books, because they're all just so unique, but they're just so good. Like, you just can't pick one over the other.
No.
Like, they're just really great. Okay, so the next book of Jay's, which is more recent, is called Darkness Matters. This book is great. It is a little bit darker than some of her other things that she's written, but you just really get, like, I don't know.
I think it's something that, like, everybody can sort of relate to, because, I mean, it's called Darkness Matters, but, like, she's talking about, like, the darkness, like, inside of you, like, the sadness and, like, the anger, like, stuff like that. It's just kind of, like, these two people have, like, a lot of that, but in different ways, and so I feel like it's something everyone can really relate to, so she did a really good job with, like, writing about that book.
Definitely, and this is just by itself, so you could just read this whenever. It doesn't go with anything else, but I definitely recommend reading this, because it's really good, and it's a little bit different than most of her stuff that she's written.
Yeah. So the last book we're going to talk about is The Boy Toy Chronicles, and this is volume 1. She's supposed to be having a few others come out, but she hasn't done it yet. This one's also by itself, so you could just read this whenever. But this is about Tyler, and it's actually a really funny book, because, like, the concept is just so funny. Like, I don't know. I laughed a lot while I was reading it. But it's also, like, really meaningful, like, underneath. Like, there's just, like, a lot of different things going on, like, in his life in the past, and then his friend comes into it, and this is kind of when he's in college, so, like, this is with all of his friends. Like, the Boy Toy Chronicles, it's, like, the Boy Toy Corporation. It's, like, this thing that they make up, and it's just, like, I don't know, it's really funny. It's really clever that she came up with it, so I definitely recommend this one, too. This one's really funny.
That's the only book out of all of hers that I have yet to read.
And I think that I can say this for the both of us, that, like, we both, I mean, I don't know, like, do you like to reread books? Because I don't. Like,
no.
I love books, but I do not like to reread something I've already read, but I would read any of these a million times. Like, there's just, I don't know, something about it that I would just read them over and over and over, because I could never get tired of them. Like,
it's just, like, because it's, like, you read all of them, and obviously you don't read them all at once, so it takes a while to read each different, you know, set of books, and so, like, I mean, I could go back and read the More Than series, because it's been so long since I've read it, but I can honestly say this is like, her books are the only books that I could do that to.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know what it is. I just have such a hard time rereading books. I just can't do it. Yeah. It's not, like, enjoyable for me.
I get so distracted, because I know what's going to happen, and I know, like, whatever, I know the ending, but, like, there's just something about the way that she writes them, like, builds everything up, and then, I don't know, it's just, like, so different. And still, ever since I've, like, started reading her books, I've never come across another book that I would ever, like, reread again. I just can't do it.
No. Jay, thanks a lot, okay?
For creating unrealistic expectations.
Yes. So, we hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. But let us know if you decide to read these books and you enjoy them, and if, you know, anyone likes these videos. Like we said, we're going to try and put one out, like, each month talking about different books.
Yeah.
But we hope that this helps anyone out that enjoys reading. And
yeah, and if you have any suggestions for us too, like, of things we should read, let us know, because we love, like, finding new books and stuff like that. We're always looking, and
definitely.
You know, yeah.
So thanks for watching. Bye, guys. Okay. She has 2 kids and 1 on the way.
Books with Brenna and Bella. I lost it. It's literally gone. Wow, you did really good.
Wait, it's like that Vine where he's like, hey, who are you?
The hair flip. I did the hair flip.
Oh.
To look studious.
Studious. Series that we're gonna call insert.
Oh.
What we're gonna call.
What happens? Like, right here.
Okay, I don't care. That was good though.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I can't look at you because it's making me laugh.
Oh,
what?
I just wanted a lip gloss. I didn't want, like, all of this. Let's try that again.
And then I'll probably have to jump in and save the day.